are you? Aren't we so very blessed? This sound this morning, just soothing us and easing us right into our Sunday morning experience. Thank you, Jeff. And while I'm thinking about that, Jeff will be doing a presentation, an experience, a sound experience, which he'll probably talk about later this afternoon at 3. So for those of you that are joining us via streaming, free up your afternoon so that you can come here and experience this with Jeff. How is everyone this morning? Good. Well, I want to let you know that it's National Feral Cat Day, as well as Global Cat Day. How lucky am I? And it's also Sunday School Teacher Appreciation Day.
Yay!
So we are so very grateful for those around here who put themselves in service to our children. It's a interesting position to be in. You know, I've spent my entire life in Sunday school environments and youth education, and there is a joy like none other in it, and there are opportunities for growth in it like none other. So we're so very appreciative of those that put themselves into service in that capacity. Thank you. Oh, let's take a breath. We're going to be continuing here very shortly on our discussion, Reverend James and I, about the nuts and bolts of prosperous, abundant living. But before we do that, we just want to take a moment to kind of rein in all of our thoughts and energy and just be present, be right here, right now, letting everything else that you've experienced this morning go. And taking a nice deep breath, we're going to focus on joy. Ooh, I can always use more joy. How about you? Try saying that 5 times fast. More joy. Joy, it has been said, comes much more from wanting what we have than from having what we want. Did you get that? Joy, it has been said, comes much more from wanting what we have than from having what we want. Reflecting on this thought, I embrace the simple joys that this day offers. I enjoy my morning coffee or tea, savoring its flavor and fragrance. Yes, I've already done that this morning.
Yes, she has.
Yes, I have. Walking through my neighborhood, I greet friends, smile at people I haven't yet met, and enjoy the fresh air. I find satisfaction in taking care of my home, working at my job, or helping a friend. Even if I am not with them today, I feel joy as I think of my connection with the people that I care the most about. I know joy whenever I look for possibilities rather than focusing on problems. My greatest joy is my awareness that wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, God is always with me. And Psalm 16:11 reminds us, "You show me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. In your right hand are pleasures forevermore." So joy and pleasures, that sounds like a good thing, Reverend James.
Hey, I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, sounds good to me. All right, how many here are feeling awake, alert?
That was a very small percentage of people.
I'd say about 70%. That's pretty good. I want to invite you to stand and maybe just meet with somebody and say hello in your own way. Just say hi. All right. You may be seated if you can. I want to invite the children to come on up front at this time. Come on up, guys. All right. I bet you guys are related. I have a few. You know what we're going to sing? You're not sure? Okay. All right. God is,
God is,
and I am.
I am.
I create,
I create,
and I pray, and I act
I act
on the truth that I know. God is,
God is,
and I am.
I am.
And I create,
I create,
I pray, and I act
I act
on the truth that I know. There is only one God. There is only one love. All right.
All right.
You guys ready to go to your class? Are you? Okay, whatever, right? You know. Hey, we're just really glad you're here. We're glad you're here. Let's give them a hand this morning. All right. We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. We appreciate you. And we bless your teachers too. And so it is.
Hey, before we get started, let's talk about these beautiful baskets over here.
Okay, let's talk about them.
Because this has been our fundraiser for the month for the church. And next week, we will be drawing the winning ticket for the small basket, that one on the end.
The beautiful one on the end.
And then on Halloween Sunday, we're going to draw for the large basket. So if you have not purchased your tickets yet, you can still do that this morning. It's $10 a ticket. And if you're online and you want to order tickets, you have until Wednesday at noon to purchase tickets online. So be sure and do that. There will be people set up out in the lobby area following the service so that you can get a ticket.
Now, I just want to say, not everybody's going to win.
But you'll still be winners.
We're all winners. But you can go and purchase the at-home magazine and put a picture of it on your refrigerator.
That's true.
So I
large
said
basket.
that to say you want to get more tickets today, right? Because you can't win unless you have a ticket. It's like people tell me all the time, James, when I win the lottery, we're going to build us a new church. And I say, oh, it sounds good. I said, when's the last time you bought a ticket? Well, I haven't. So.
That's right. So these,
So in this case, if you want to win, you do have to get a ticket.
yeah, and these beautiful baskets are done by Jerry Maxey,
Thank you, Jerry.
a true artisan and a member here at Unity. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's say our affirmation together. Our unity affirmation. Wait, we're not going to say it together. I'm going to say it. And then but all I need for you to do is agree with it.
okay.
Okay? We have a growing spiritual community. At Unity, we always have more than we need. Double and triple. That's how we grow. We claim our prosperity. Our loving source abundantly provides the highest good in all of our lives. We claim divine love and all good grace. We behold the Christ in every face. Time after time and day after day, we declare and decree our ever-expanding prosperity. Can you feel that word expand? Can you feel it? Money for our mission, money for our vision comes to us easily, effortlessly, and continuously. We feel it in our heart and we see it in our minds. The manifestation arrives always on time. And let's say this one together. We are grateful.
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 Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
That's beautiful. So we have spent the last couple of weeks talking about the nuts and bolts of abundant, prosperous living, with the understanding that abundance and prosperity means more than just financial health, right? It means physical health. It means spiritual health, mental health. It means success in all the areas of your life. And when all of that is playing out in your life the way that you are experiencing joy and happiness with, then you're living a prosperous and abundant life. And it's all about our energy, our vibration that we're putting out. We've been talking about the need to give up complaining and blaming, taking responsibility for our experiences and for our life. And some fundamental questions we've been asking ourselves is, are my beliefs currently serving me? Are there things that I need to look at and maybe get rid of in my mental? I always say I have like this filing cabinet in my head. You know, when you go to access something, it opens up and it goes to the file. There's a lot of files in there. And I need to get rid of anything that just doesn't need to be in there, right? So if I've got beliefs that are not serving me anymore, I need to think about weeding those things out.
But you never know, you might need it.
If it is not producing good in your life, say, I don't need it. I don't need it. So
if it doesn't bring you joy,
I don't need it.
I don't need it.
Yeah, maybe that'll be our mantra this morning. I don't need it.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we've been looking at is identifying our negative self-talk, because our thoughts lead to our emotions, which is our vibration, which is what we send out. When I say that, someone puts off an energy or a vibration, do you understand what that means? Yeah, so when you're in the presence of people that are really just angry, there's a vibration in that. And if you walk into a room where two people have been arguing, you can tell, can't you? There's an energy that lingers. So we put out a vibration or an energy, and it is that vibration, that energy, that winds up attracting to us, because we're saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I need and want more of.
And you know what I think it is? And this is kind of what I have come to. It is a feeling of well-being. A feeling of well-being, because a feeling of well-being becomes your vibration, right? It's the energy that you're putting out. And so if you're feeling well, right, then you're attracting things that add to that feeling of well-being. Now, when we're talking about these principles, and we're talking a lot about changing our minds, which is so important. I mean, it is the key that most people don't really ever address, right? But also, it's important to just be responsible in life, isn't it? Mm-hmm. To be responsible with what you have, and to be appreciative of what you have, rather than always wanting more, right? That's kind of the disease of the day, more. And there's nothing wrong with having more. That's not the point. The point of it is you're putting out a feeling that I don't have. And so being responsible for what you have been given, if you like your job, if you enjoy what you do, if you have a feeling of appreciation for your stuff, for your the place where you live and all of that, then that's going to show. Mm-hmm. And that is true prosperity, right? That's real prosperity. Yeah. But if at the end of the month you've got more month than you've got money, then what does that do? That creates a sense and a feeling of unwellness, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Anxiety and fear. It's like, ooh, And so we have to learn how to also adjust the way we use money, because money is just a tool, basically, and money does a lot of good things for us, doesn't it? Because I love my wife, I want to take care of her. She wants to take care of me. We like to buy stuff for each other that we know that we would appreciate, that that would be good for us. Whenever you go to the grocery store and you buy food for yourself or your family, that is a loving, beautiful thing, isn't it? So money is a tool of blessing. It's something that we just use. We're not being used by money. You know, we use it in order to bless and to be blessed. And it's a wonderful thing. And the more we can have that feeling of well-being, it's like somebody came to me one time and they said, you know, I want to get this prosperity thing figured out. And so we just sat down and we talked about it a little bit. And I said, well, how do you feel in your life? Well, I don't feel very good because I'm not prosperous. I said, okay, what if you could get that feeling of well-being and work with that and nurture that within yourself? Then, you know, things can turn around. But what was going on is they were very anxious. And I said, well, what are you doing with your money? You know, and says, well, I just go out and buy anything I want because that's prosperity. I said, no, that's foolishness. Right? How many know we got to be responsible? If you're just going out buying things just to satisfy your lustful desire for stuff, you know, that is not a feeling of well-being. What kind of a feeling is that? That's a feeling of neediness, right? And greediness. They're kind of related. Needy, greedy. You can have billions of dollars and still be needy and greedy. Because you can't ever have enough because you're not satisfying that feeling quotient on the inside. You know, that feeling that, it's like a relationship. I love my wife, but it's how she makes me feel when I'm with her. That's the relationship. That's the benefit. That's the value, right? How she makes me feel good about myself and about being with her, and she's easy to be with, and much easier than she used to be, and I'm much easier than I used to be. Right?
You were doing so well, so well.
Squirrel. Did you see that squirrel back there? No.
Yes, so we're focusing this morning on this idea of our feel. I'm gonna rescue you here. We're focusing this morning on the idea of feelings and emotions. But before the feelings and the emotions comes the thought. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said, "We are always decreeing, sometimes consciously, often unconsciously, and with every thought and word we are increasing or diminishing. The resulting manifestation conforms to our thought, as he thinketh within himself, so he is." Now Jesus said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these other things will be added to you." So sometimes we have that backwards. We think that by seeking the stuff, it will fulfill us. And that's what you're talking about with the emotion.
Absolutely.
Because I can have a really good, I may make you feel good, but if in your thinking you start down a trail of thought about, well, she does that wrong or incorrectly. You know, if she did it this way.
I've been meaning to talk to you. Oh, I'm just kidding.
If she did it this way, I would feel a lot better about what she's doing. You're thinking, and then all of a sudden the things that you found so enjoyable and lovable become rough. They become like a little sandpaper. They become a little irritating. And it's all because of the way that you're thinking about it. So our thinking about things is very important because the thoughts produce the emotions, and the emotions produce our behaviors. And when we become conditioned by a particular feeling, we get addicted to it.
Yeah.
And that's whether it feels good or whether it feels bad.
Right.
We get addicted to it.
Right.
Did you know that you can be addicted to feelings? Yeah. So I think the first thing when we're thinking about dealing with hidden beliefs, ideas and beliefs that are no longer serving us, is we have to get really real with ourselves. And we have to ask ourselves the really hard question, do I want to put in the work to change? Or do I like hanging out in my drama? Because when you're addicted to that stuff, there is an emotional payoff and an emotional juice that you get out of it. And you have to ask yourself if you're willing to give that up.
You mean that people can be addicted to drama?
Oh my goodness. Why do you think we sit
Has
around and watch
anybody here
soap
heard of that?
operas?
So that's a new concept, isn't it?
We sit and watch soap operas and we go, well, their drama is so much worse than my drama. At least that's their drama. So
I would much rather watch it on television than in my own life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But you watch enough of that stuff coming into
That's true. You can reprogram yourself to think, oh, I need drama too.
I don't want drama. So we live on an emotional spectrum. It's important to understand that we move up and down this spectrum all the time. There are times when we feel anger, but it's momentary. It's a momentary blip on the spectrum, and we move back on up to where we kind of normally hang out. But it's important to know what that spectrum is so that you can take your emotional temperature during the day and kind of know where you're at. Because if you're addicted to a particular emotion and that's where you're hanging out and that's what feels good, even if it's anger or despair, you may not realize that it's not serving you because it feels good. It's what you're used to. It's your comfort zone. So we start down at let's say the lower end of the emotional spectrum. And we think about, there's 7 along the spectrum, basic ones. And if we start at the bottom, the lower energy ones, we start with the first place that's despair. And despair is like, I'm completely powerless. Nothing makes any sense. I don't see any hope in this world. I don't see any way out of things. And it is like the lowest of the vibrations. And it's a really painful place to be. If you are in a place where you're experiencing a feeling of being powerless or that nothing makes sense, I want to tell you you're in a place of pain. If you're addicted to being in that place, I want to encourage you to think about moving out of it, right? Now, again, we have moments, we have life experiences, life situations that present us with times when we may experience despair, but we don't want to stay stuck there. That's one of those that we want to just move through quickly and pull ourselves on up.
Whenever you have no hope, you lose your hope. It's like, that is a tough place to be. So you always want to have hope. Hope is expectancy. Hope is the idea that, hey, things could turn around. Things could be different than they are now. So you have to start somewhere. Before you get to faith, you have to have hope first, because it's hope, then it's faith.
You're jumping ahead.
And then it's knowingness.
Yeah,
so
we're going to get to hope.
I'm jumping around. Is
we're
that all
going
right?
to get to hope.
I'm like a frog.
Yeah, that's all right. So when we move up the emotional spectrum, the next one up from depression is shame. And this is where, I should be grateful for any scraps that I receive. And if I don't get any, which I generally don't, then it's clearly my own fault. And this is where we see the martyrs hang out. I have given up everything so that you can have and be happy. And
yes, it's, oh my.
Right. Right. And we talked a few weeks ago about,
Where's my Oscar?
It's coming. We talked a few weeks ago about, shame. Many of us grew up in toxic, shame-filled homes. And so that's a biggie for a lot of us. So it's important to recognize that one. Important to know if you're feeling deserving and worthy, or are there those feelings of unworthiness under?
And a lot of times when you have a lot of shame, you can't see beyond it, because you're just like flooded with it. And so to get beyond it, that's where meditation is so powerful and so important, is to get still.
Yes.
To get still. And then you can begin to breathe. And when these thoughts of shame and these thoughts of guilt come into your mind, you can question them and say, why are you here? Make sense? But you can't do that as long as you're connected with it, as long as you've joined yourself to it, And you don't want to, or what you do want to do is just be with the shame. Be with the feeling and the thought And then you begin to see and realize that it's just a feeling, it's just a thought. That's all it is. It's not real. Because, I grew up in a house where, of great worry. We were always worried about everything. We could worry the wallpaper off the wall. You know what I mean? We were experts. We were professionals. But there was a lot of guilt and a lot of shame, that was connected with that. And so it took me a long time to outgrow and to see beyond and to overcome those feelings and those thoughts. Even up into my later life, still dealing with it. And so I still see it. It still pops up. It'll come up and say, well, you're not as this, because, you're just not, you're not this because you're not good enough. Right?
We always have to be on the lookout for that one.
And it still comes back. But see, now I know what it is. And I say, oh, hello there, Dr. Shame. Nice to see you again. You can just keep on walking. You can just go on through. You understand what I'm saying? So it's being able to detach from it and see it objectively and then let it go. Is that helpful?
Yeah. So the next one as we move up is anger. And this is where we have just this kind of general feeling that the game is rigged against us. There's outside forces that are playing against my life, and it's always playing favorites in someone else's favor. Just life is rigged against me. And then we move from that into frustration. And this is kind of where we start to see that, the outside source maybe isn't playing unfairly. It's fair, but I just can't figure out how it works. It's like the proverbial chasing after the carrot on the stick. It's like it's just within my reach. If I could just figure out, and that's where people come to you. It's like, I know that there's something that I can be doing to change things. I just don't know what it is or what to do. So you're right on the precipice of kind of moving over into another emotion, but you're just kind of hanging out in that. I'm just not, everything I try, it just seems like it's not working, but I know there's an answer there somewhere. So it's this sense of frustration. And then when you move from that, you move up into what we call the 0 point. And James, you sometimes refer to this as the neutrality 0 point, zero set point.
Right. The zero balance point.
Yeah. So if you think about, if you have a hammer and you bang your thumb continuously with the hammer over and over and over and over, it's very painful. I'm sorry, that's my phone. They always call me during the service, and it's scam likely, I'm sure. But if you bang your thumb with a hammer over and over and over, it's very painful. Now, when you stop banging your thumb with the hammer, and now all of a sudden you take a feather to the thumb, does that immediately start to feel better? No. You're still in pain from having banged your thumbs for so long with the hammer. So it's a place of like numbness, but it's a place of healing. It's a place of I'm coming out of the pain. I'm not yet experiencing the pleasure, but at least I've stopped hitting myself with the hammer.
Lee, I want to tell you something. I think that you are somebody, or thumb buddy.
Moving right along, you got 2 thumbs down on that back there. Or 4 thumbs down. There are thumbs down all over the building.
Hey, you're thumb buddy too.
So now we've looked at the 4 that are on the lower spectrum, and these are all the ones that are kind of motivated by pain. They're painful places to be in. Now we're in this space of neutrality where we're healing from that. We've stopped hitting ourselves with the hammer, and we're going to start being more motivated.
We're crossing
and pulled,
the threshold.
Yes, pulled.
Out of the negative into the positive.
Yes, pulled by the promise of something good, pleasure. And that first one starts with hope, which you were trying to talk about earlier. So now talk about hope. I got nothing to say.
I still think you're thumb buddy.
Well, thank you.
Things are going to be okay. Let's say it together. I'm going to be okay.
I'm going to be okay.
When you have hope, you can say that. I'm going to be just fine.
Yeah.
I may not understand how yet, right? I haven't got it all figured out, but there's a belief on the inside that says, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And it's like we've come out of this pandemic, and we as a community, we decided what? We're going to be okay. Right? Mm-hmm. Do you believe that? Yeah. We need that expectancy, that hope. You never, ever want to take away somebody's hope, right? You don't want to downplay somebody's hope, because sometimes you can live on hope for a while until you get into more practical faith and understanding and turning things around. But hope is the beginning of positive things happening and turning around in your life. And it's a light.
Yeah, it's leaving that space of the frustration and nothing good can happen for me, and I can't understand it and I can't make it work, to that. Finally, I see maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, because it's like, for instance, you're trying to figure out, well, why am I not making the money that I want to make, And then so you look at, well, maybe the job I have, the career that I'm in, is not really serving me in the way that it should. And so you think, well, okay, maybe I need to get my resume out and start putting resumes out into other places and other things. And then you get turned down, and you say, well, what's going on? I was talking with somebody about this one time, and they had lost their hope. They said, I just can't figure it out. What am I going to do? And so we sit down, we thought, well, how is your resume? Well, I don't know. It's not very good. And I said, well, that's your problem. You need to find somebody that you can sit down with and figure out, how to put together the right kind of resume to get the kind of job that you want, right? Yeah. Because there's a way that you phrase and that you frame things that make all the difference. Because most people do not realize how brilliant they really are and how many gifts and talents and abilities you already have, right? I mean, you've lived a lifetime. You've had your ups and your downs, and you've come through it. You're still here. Let's say it together. I'm still here.
I'm still here.
And I know a thing or two.
And I know a thing or two.
Right?
Yeah.
Put all that stuff on your resume. Because you are way more, a lot of times, than what you think you are.
Yes.
A lot of times it's just perception and perspective and the way you phrase things, the way you come across, and just a little shift in your energy can make all the difference.
Yeah. So when you start to have hope, you start to see a few things beginning to work out. You're seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. Now, all of a sudden, you're moving into even more of a place that we'll now call enthusiasm. Ooh, now I'm understanding that things are happening for me and not to me. I'm leaving the victimhood behind, and I'm expecting good things. Now I'm no longer hopeful that good things will happen, but I'm expecting good things. And then finally, I crossed that threshold of enthusiasm into pure, what was our word this morning?
Joy.
Joy. That last one on the spectrum, joy. There's no doubt that everything always works out to my good. And now I can just relax, and I don't have to control everything because I've got my thinking right, my emotions are right, I'm living in this space. Now, what happens when you get in that groove and you're just moving along so well and you're just, yeah, good things are happening to me and I only expect good, and oh man, life is just so rich and juicy and perfect for me, and then boop! What happened? You will have a bump in the road, and you may suddenly find yourself all the way back down in the despair again. And that's okay. That's what this human journey is about, right? It's the journey. It happens. You might have a blowout on your tire or miss your exit, right? But it's a temporary thing, and it lasts a lot quicker than when you have been stuck there. You know, you grieve for a season. To everything there is a time and a season, but you soon find yourself working right back up that to where you're back in your place of joy and your world is aright again. And it's a process, and it takes time.
You know, that reminds me of something that happened to us one time. I remember one time we got this reminder in the mail from AAA. You need to renew your AAA. I said, okay. So I set it over there. I'll get back to it. Didn't renew it, okay? And then so a couple months later, we're driving down the road and pop.
Pleasantburg, actually.
Yeah,
Pleasantburg.
Yeah, Pleasantburg. And the tire popped, you know? And I go, oh, okay, we got a flat tire. So I pulled into this place. We got out.
Guess where we pulled into?
That's what I'm getting ready to tell you.
Okay.
Let me tell the story.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't mess up my story.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So I'm just kidding. But we pulled off, and it was the AAA office.
That one right
and
there
I
in
looked
Pleasantburg.
up to the universe, and I said, boy, you've got a sense of humor, don't you? And we just laughed, and she got out with me, and I changed the tire, you know, and remembered how to do that, you know, and it was good, you know. We just made it fun.
We did.
And
we did.
You know.
And that's what you have to do. You just have to take those little things that happen.
Well, I think the universe does have a sense of humor.
I think so too, yeah. So I'm adding another one, actually, the 8th emotion on top of these 7 basic ones, and that's gratitude. Because I think gratitude is probably the highest vibration that we can vibrate from, that we can give off, is this overwhelming sense of I'm just grateful in everything that goes on, for everything, in everything. The giver is convinced that life is a giving process. Thus, his subtle motivation in all his ways is to give himself away in love, in service, and in all the many helpful ways that he can invest himself. He is always secure, for he intuitively knows that his good flows from within, says Eric Butterworth. Isn't that wonderful? So there is this sense of gratitude that we can live in that just, you know, when you come from that place of gratitude, then you can see everything working for you. And I can be grateful in this momentary bump in the road, in this flat tire, whatever it is. I can be grateful.
Because when you're grateful for something, you're noticing it. You're giving it attention. And the things you give attention to, you are giving life to, right? You're giving life to it. If you're not giving it attention, then it will fade away eventually. Mm-hmm. It's like if you're not paying attention to your house, you know, you need a roof, you need a whatever, what will happen? It'll start to fall into disrepair. And then it gets to be difficult. Yep. And so the things if you pay attention to your relationship, then you will notice when there's something going on that you need to deal with. You'll notice the little things, ways that you can bless the other person. You know, you become like Sherlock Holmes, and you're paying attention. You're saying, oh, what is it that she likes? What does she enjoy? Yeah. And then you want to give that to them. Yeah. Because that's what Jesus talked about, going the second mile, because you're paying attention, right? You're giving attention to what they need. Because many times when there's can we talk about relationship for just a moment?
Go right ahead. I'm watching.
Can I follow this rabbit trail?
Yeah, I guess so.
For just a moment. When you're in a situation with your spouse, your partner, your significant other, whatever the situation is, and there's some stuff, there's something between you, then that's when you need to give attention. Well, you should have been giving attention before. But when you notice if there's something going on, it's because you're not giving attention to something. There's a need that's not being met. So what is that need? What is it they need? What is it that you can give to them that would help them? Now, you can't be everything, right?
Right.
You can't be everything to someone, but you can pay attention and give them what they need. And try to go out of your way to go over and above, and just to be there for them and listen. Find out what their love language is and then speak it to them, right? Try to give them what they really want. And that will heal just about any relationship. That little simple. And how many know it's all about awareness, right?
It is.
All
It
right,
is.
keep
Awareness and continuing to practice. So my personal belief is that gratitude is such a high vibration and such a high energetic emotion that it is the tool to use to propel yourself out of those lower 4 emotions the quickest. If you're feeling, the despair, the frustration, the anger, any of those, if you will make a conscious choice to be in gratitude and find things to be grateful for, that emotion and energy is so high that it will help propel you up out of that sooner. That's my personal opinion.
Yes.
You get that for free. So what causes us to slide up and down, the emotional spectrum? It's circumstances typically, right? We have a circumstance that happens, we develop a thought about it, and it produces an emotion. And then we either say, I don't like this, so I'm changing my thoughts, I'm doing something different, or we say, hey, this feels really crappy and I like it. And so I'm going to hang out here for a while because people are feeling sorry for me and I'm getting lots of sympathy from everyone, and I think I'll just hang out here for a while. So if you're in that space and you're addicted to a particular low vibrating emotion, you might need to acknowledge that, hello, I'm Leah and I'm a frustration addict, right? Just like in the 12 steps, acknowledging that, yes, I can see that I'm addicted to this and I need to change this if I'm willing to do so. So how do we do that? We create powerful and compelling new internal images of having, doing, and being what you want. There was a fantastic quote from Henry David Thoreau a few weeks ago that I read that I really believe is a quantum key. And it talked about, if I go confidently in the direction of my dreams, there's an invisible threshold that I pass where all kinds of wonderful things begin to happen. Now, what he talks about essentially is that you move forward to something that you envision. And it's like you don't gain the emotion as you go. You come from it. We have another beautiful teacher that says you can never get to the emotion. You have to come from. You have to come from the dream. So it's spending time creating those powerful and compelling internal images of what it is that you want, what it is that you desire, that allows you to come from that place, because then it's like, I've bought into this image. This is what my life feels like. This is what my life looks like, even if it really doesn't right now. That's right. We just keep doing that. We build these internal images. And then in doing that, we use our power of choice every time something comes up that doesn't support that image, that doesn't support that life that we imagine. We use our power of choice. It's an important tool, your power
Absolutely.
of choice.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to identify a third one, which I think is really useful, and it's called the tapping method. Is anyone familiar with the tapping method?
Yeah, absolutely. They have now discovered with the Veterans Administration that tapping works. Okay? And they use it now. They use it for people with PTSD. It's very powerful. And basically, it's you're tapping into the energies of the body and of the emotional body. And you're relieving stress. You're relieving that excess energy, And it's like, here, you want to do it real quick?
Yeah, let's.
How many have not ever done tapping? Okay, there's a few. Okay. Are you willing to do it? What's that? Yes. Absolutely. You're going deeper. So, say you have a situation in your life. Say you have a physical situation. Say you have a mental situation, an emotional situation. Say you have a situation. Okay, whatever it is.
A situation.
You bring that into your thoughts, and you start with something like, even though I might feel anxious, I am willing to release my fear and feel safe. Okay? And so you start tapping here, if you want to join me. Then you go to the side. Even though I might feel anxious, I'm willing to release my fear and feel safe.
So you went from the above the eyebrows
to the side, to under the eye, and then under the nose, and then the chin, and then the thyroid, and then under here, okay, and then top of the head, okay. So, but before you do it, you always measure on the scale between 1 and 10. How am I feeling right now? Say I'm feeling an 8, and then you start doing it. And then when you're done, you check and you say, well, how do I feel now? Well, I feel more like a 6. And you say, okay, I'm going to do it again. And you just keep doing it and keep taking yourself deeper and releasing that negative energy until you're at that zero rest balance point again. Make sense? And there's so much more to it. I mean, it can be long and involved, but that's just a simple way to get rid of stress in the middle of the day, right?
Right. Well, we'll have
Google
resources when you go to the website. If you access today's talk, I'll have a list of resources down there below, and you can check this out on your own if you're interested in more.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And then the fourth one is affirmations. Of course, we're big on affirmations in Unity. It shifts our way of thinking. So affirmations and positive self-talk. So how do you form an affirmation? There are a lot of affirmations out there, or times when we will say an affirmation for ourselves that may not be the highest and best affirmation that you could use. So let's talk quickly about how you formulate a really good, strong, powerful affirmation. So the first thing you want to do is you always want to start your affirmation with I am, because I am is the directive. We're saying, this is what I am. I am this. Anything you put after I am, you're declaring for yourself, right? And then we use the present tense as though it already is. That's that coming from instead of trying to get to. We're coming from that. State it in the positive. Always state your affirmation in the positive. Keep it brief. Make it specific. Try to include an action word that ends with ing. Walking, healing, doing, being. Include at least one dynamic feeling or emotional word, because that activates that energy. Think about how you will feel when this that you're affirming manifests, and use that. And then finally, make your affirmation about yourself and not the behavior of others. So you can't, an affirmation shouldn't be something like, I am so happy now that John is no longer manipulating me, right? It's about you. It's about you. So if I say this affirmation, I am no longer afraid of flying, what do you hear? Afraid, right? So that's why we don't want to state the negative, what we're experiencing now. We want to put the positive on it. Say, I am enjoying the thrill of flying. Now what do you hear?
Woohoo!
Woohoo! The thrill of flying. What about this one? I am maintaining my perfect body weight. Yes, I heard I am maintaining. Well, think about that one for a minute. How might we juice that one up just a little bit?
Let's supercharge it.
It's not really very specific, because what is my ideal body weight, right? How about this one instead? I am feeling agile and great at 178. Now I'm being specific. I've got energy behind it, and it's short and it's sweet, and I can say it all day long. I am feeling agile and great at 178. So then when you develop your affirmations, don't put them away. Don't go, oh, well, that was a fun process. No, read them, feel them, visualize them, memorize them.
Until they become a part of you.
Yes,
right?
use them.
Until you can embody the affirmation. It's no longer just words, but it's substance.
Yeah.
It's substance. And I think we probably ought to get ready to move on to the next.
Okay, well, I want to do this real quick.
Oh, okay.
I know,
All right.
I know we've got So I want you to remember that. I'm sorry. I want you to remember that what you truly want is never about the stuff. It's always about the feeling that you think the stuff will give you. It's about the feeling. So for this week, we can do several things, and you can choose one or two of these to work on this week. You can't get where you're going if you don't know the destination. So spend this week imagining the life that you desire. What is it that you truly want? And when you start exploring some of that and you really start unpacking it, you might find out that that's not really what you have in mind after all. So it's important to know where it is you want to go. 2, time is nature. Time in nature. Use nature to reduce your stress and improve your mood. If you find yourself, suddenly feeling just out of sorts, get outside, take a walk in nature, because nature can soothe those emotions. Put yourself in a community with shared purpose. So being around people who are working on the same things as you, who are thinking the same as you. Take time to recognize and take control of that space between the stimulus and the response. We talked about that a few weeks ago, that there is a gap that exists between the time that something happens and the time that you respond to it. Use that time. Work on recognizing that time and using it. And then finally, write yourself some affirmations this week, or try the tapping technique.
Yeah.
Now I'm done.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I think that we should give a hand to Leah for putting up with me. It's a full-time job. It really is.
It's a nice job.